Let's talk about gaming, right?
Hmm?
What do you think moving forward? What is the level of immersion that we're going to see? Now, immersion can be in terms of VR. It can be in terms of more engaging gameplay. But what do you think is the near future for full immersion?
See, I'll give you an example, right? I was reading this forum on how to do lighting in DAS, like how to better do lighting, right? And there are many ways to do lighting. There's HDRI, there's mesh lights. You can actually manually place the lights. And I was like, okay, what's the best technique? What's the best, setting? What's the best, luminance? And then I saw this comment, right? And I stared at this comment for half an hour because I just got it. It's like, dude, it's not about settings. It's not about the lights. It's about goddamn storytelling, right? He's like, look, you can have a single scene and you can tell a story without a single light, right? Even if you have one global light, it's just, you're trying to convey a story through that image,
Very true.
right? You're trying to convey a story through that animation, right? And if you forget that, you will think about, oh, realism, this, that, but people don't care so much about realism. Yeah, they'll feel cool for 2 minutes, they'll be like a good artist, but if you can't evoke an emotion in human beings, it's pointless.
Like, you
And
remember
that got me
how
thinking.
remember when we were kids, we used to play these text-based games, and you could spend hours on them, like
Point
even
and
though it was
click.
just text.
Point and click, dude. I remember this murder mystery I used to play on this point and click system. Cluedo on the Game Boy. I used to have the old Cluedo. So I remember all of this, right? But that got me thinking, right? If the idea with anything is to tell a story, and the idea with the story is to evoke an emotion, then I started thinking further on the line, and I was like, assume I had superpowers today. Assume you had superpowers, okay? Assume I had the craziest superpower ever, which is to jump and leap across buildings. Right? You've seen that Spider-Man video, that the latest Spider-Man, the animated one. What's it called? The sunflower. What's it called? Into the Spider-Verse. Have you seen the movie?
Spider-Verse,
So there's a scene where Miles Morales jumps, right? And it's so breathtaking, this scene, especially on a large TV or in a theater or something. It's breathtaking, right? And I wondered, when I saw the scene, I was like, what would it be like to be that person? Okay. Then I realized, take the emotion away from it, right? If I give you those powers but take away all your emotions, right, your primal basic emotions of feeling thrill and stuff, it would be useless. Right? So I think the future of everything has eventually been this orgasm of emotions. That's what social media is at right now. It's outrage. It's like the most basic emotions: outrage, panic, fear, greed, positivity, and you have it, right? You have the extremes of it. If a social media post is like lukewarm emotion inducing, it doesn't work, right? Even in ads, we're just going full clickbait, right? So emotion. So the peak of gaming will also be peak emotional, right? So you take the very basics that human beings have, okay, or rather the emotions that human beings have and they want accomplished, and you maximize it, and then you see, okay, what does that lead to, right? So think about it: greed, fear, panic, thrill. So horror games, games with crazy heights. So immersion isn't truly about how technically good it is, right? You just need enough to fool the brain.
Yeah.
You just need enough to fool the brain. And this is something I learned very recently as well. Difference between DAS, right? DAS uses a rendering machine called Iray, right? Which is a NVIDIA based thing. It realistically measures how light works. Every photon of light, reflections, bounces, everything it calculates. Whereas Unreal uses fake lighting. So a scene in DAS takes 30 minutes to render. The same scene would take 1 second in Unreal, right? But Unreal looks as good as DAS, if not better. Right? So who cares? Right? That's one thing that's been going on, which is, do you really want it to be extremely realistic because you're just really anal about it, or do you want to fool the user?
I think that's
right?
a very interesting part about tapping into emotions, right? I feel like even with social media, even though it's not a game, it is a game in the overall picture of things, right? And the emotions that you're tapping into are sort of like base level emotions. Do you think, in thinking in terms of emotional software, that we're tapping into some of the higher emotions as well? So let's say something like joy, love, hope. Are these some things that you would tap into? Is that something that would um, complete the immersion, so to say?
I think so, dude, for sure. I mean, it's exaggeration, right? I spoke about this. It's peak shift effect, right? It's caricatures, Games are caricatures of the real world. So you have suppose your defining feature is your eyes, okay? Are your eyes. In a 3D world or in a caricature, your eyes would be much bigger, right? To make it seem more like Abhinav. If you have a strong jawline, I would exaggerate the jawline, right? Whereas some not so important features like maybe your nose, I just keep it normal or even smaller. So you exaggerate some parts. So I think games will be an exaggerated versions of reality.
What about what do you see as the role of identity here, right? So just to lay some background, you as a person, that's one identity, but all the let's say platforms that we're on, we have small differences in identity. And the more variance of platforms there is, I think there's more identity expressions. So for example, you might act a certain way on Instagram versus Twitter. Going a little deeper, you know how TikTok today, right? When we open it, we're like, what is this cringe? But then one lens to look at it is that they've given a form of expression to somebody who had that within them but didn't sort of express it. So it's unlocking a new part of their identity that they're now able to express. So
yeah, but my problem with this, right, with say a TikTok, right, or any platform, is it also works the other way around. You can't isolate yourself and say in TikTok or on TikTok I'm like this or on Dota I'm like this. If you change as a result of TikTok or using that app, you will change in real life too.
For sure, 100%.
Right, and that's my, it's just it's more like a side point, which is
here's one of let's take a TikTok example, right? There's this one TikTok where there are these guys appear to be in a, I don't know, small Indian town. Like we probably wouldn't understand the video at all, right? Like we're like, why the fuck are they doing this? Versus the point is they've always been doing that. It's just that now they're showing it on screen. So for example, this guy riding a bike, another guy sitting behind him, the guy in front is doing a wheelie, and it's a small town. Maybe they don't have enough to do, and that's what they normally would have done anyways, right? It's just that now I get to express that part of my identity, which I couldn't do on Facebook before. People laugh at me, for example.
True. I mean,
so it is like closing identities in some sense, I think.
Yeah, so that's what I said, right? In a caricature, some parts are exaggerated, some parts are shut down. Because to exaggerate, you only have a limited amount of space, right? So if I exaggerate everything about you, it would end up being exactly Abhinav. Like it would just be a bigger, more stretched version of your image.
And that's not fun.
So that's not fun. You have to stretch some parts, you have to reduce some other parts. So for example, in a game about joy and fun, you have to reduce the fear. In a game about fear, maybe you're playing a horror movie, you're inside a horror movie in VR, suppose. Then you have to shut down the fun. You can't have, a rabbit go by unless it's a scary rabbit, right? So you can't have fun stuff or even neutral stuff for that matter. Everything has to play into the atmosphere. So things like emotions, atmosphere leads to emotion, right? Things like sense of scale, all that's going to be really important in gaming. And for the love of God, like I feel like this is just, I don't know why, okay, but I might be one of the few people in this country to have tried really good VR. Right? Remember when I bought the HTC Vive and you've tried my HTC Vive?
Yeah.
It's been 6 years since that, man. 5 or 6 years since that. It's been a very, very long time. And the VR that's out there right now, even the ones by companies like HP are really good. Like Pimax, for example, the FOV is so large that you don't feel like you're wearing a headset. And you don't see that, the screen door effect. You don't see distance between the pixels. It's real, dude. It's really real. And then it only depends on your renderer, right? How powerful a computer you have. And now Oculus is working on some technology called eye tracking technology. So instead of rendering the entire screen in both things, which is very computationally intensive, they look at exactly where your eyes are looking. Okay, they'll have a laser that detects where your eyes are looking. Render only that part. So instead of rendering two big screens, you're only rendering two slits. So when you move your eyes, it'll render the next bit, right? Which is insane, right?
Sort of like how it is in real life as well. Like the image at the edge of my eye, like focal area, is sort of blurry. It's just there.
That's true, right? So that's why I don't understand, right, with life in general. Is this like a really, really complex, like result of trickery? If somebody trying to really fool all my senses at the same time, am I just a brain in a vat? Or is this real? And because it's real and so limited that we are able to replicate and trick it in real life, right? So I can't, it's very hard to differentiate, and that's what makes a good game by the end of the day.
For sure.
Right? That you should, It's just, and then you see, right? Like, and this is an extension. If I have all these emotions and say this is a game and whatever, then it's a caricature of some other game, right? So higher level of simulation or lower level or whatever, they're all bound to be extremely similar, right? In one way or the other, because you work with a limited amount of space, right? So that's that, man. And that's why I think the future of gaming is going to be awesome. It is going to be everything we ever wanted, everything we will ever want, and it's going to be beautiful. But I think, a lot of more technical challenges in the way.